Hey, what is going on everybody? It is Nolan, or the Optimistic Gamer here, and welcome back to the Optimistic Survival Series. Today we are finishing up our tree farm. I will admit, I kind of forgot about this when I recorded the last episode, in which we were in the Nether working on our ice highway. I did, by the way, get that all finished up in all 4 directions, which means we can travel north, south, east, and west to any given point along those cardinal directions in 20 seconds or less, which is pretty amazing. Eventually, the goal will be to be able to travel everywhere within this 10,000 block radius in roughly under a minute, so that will be super helpful. But for now, we need to finish setting up the tree farm. So a couple episodes ago, we worked on getting all the plots into place and all of our trees planted. As you can see, things have really filled in. I did aid this a little bit with some bone meal, but for the most part, everything is coming together quite nicely. But now, when we go to chop them, our inventories are going to fill up with sticks and saplings, and of course the wood that we come away with. So we need some kind of quick system, a quick mechanism that will empty our inventory. That way we don't have to run to chests every time our inventory fills up. To do that, we are going to have a few canals. I did talk about these in the last episode. Today, that is what we are building. So in between all of these plots, we are going to dig down a few blocks and have some streams of water that all flow to one centralized point. That point will be right down here in between the crimson trees and the bamboo. We will set up a nice chest area right here where the water streams will flow. Those items will be collected into chests, maybe sorted. We will see how far we get on that today. For now, it's all about getting the items from the top to the bottom into chests so that we don't have to worry about a full inventory. So to begin this, we are going to dig the canals out where each of them will be. I'm thinking we will go maybe a few blocks, maybe about 3 blocks below the top part of any given plot. So right here, we will go maybe right down to this level right here, and we will remove all of the dirt from here. I haven't really given too much thought into what materials we will use for this. I'm leaning towards maybe stone bricks or maybe even tuff. I think tuff will be a great match for us. It will blend in nicely with our 1.21 house that we built. So let's grab some tuff bricks. And we will go ahead and set up a water source right up here as well. That way, when it comes time to put the water in, we have quick access to that. Now, of course, water will flow 8 blocks before it stops, so we can kind of plan this based off of that. If we start a water source maybe right here on this block, and then that will flow down, we can start to gauge how many steps, I suppose, we need to go down each time. We also have to factor in that we will have water coming from this side, and, well, I don't know if we will flow in that direction or that direction. All of it will eventually flow to one single point though. So right here, maybe we will have another canal on the outside just for the sake of having that go downhill, since we can't really make that go this way without starting up high, which I don't want to do. But we will figure that out once we get there. Let's begin at the very top middle right here. So we can go ahead and fill in the bottom of this with tough bricks. And I'm thinking just a very basic V shape like this to keep that water in a single line. So if we pour that down right there, that will extend all the way out here, and then we will have another stream that continues down. Again, the whole premise of this is that when we harvest our wood right up here and we go to throw that into the water, it will get carried down. Well, it's moving slowly, there it goes. It will get carried down all the way to those chests. So once again, we will have another step down right here, and maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea to get our canal into place on this side as well. And for this exact reason, we will see that these don't perfectly align, so we will have to adjust that water accordingly. But when we place that right there, that will flow. I guess we will break that block right there, and that water will continue on down its path. I suppose we could also have multiple canals that sort of intersect in this fashion. But at the same time, I guess it wouldn't be all that difficult to just bring this down to the same level. So we will do that instead. What we will have is another wall right here, and we will just sort of follow this corner. We will extend that birch down again, and we will also touch up these walls on the inside. I think we will follow the same tough brick pattern, but for now we are just going to work on the canals. So we will lower this a little bit. We will probably scoop up the water for now. That will make it a little easier to work with all of this, and we will go in maybe 4 blocks here, and then we will go up for 4 more blocks, and then that should put us at a good height. There we go, something like this, and when we place our water right up here, that should flow nice and evenly right down to that intersecting point, and that is not supposed to happen. I think the only reason for this is the water had nowhere else to go. It should just only flow in those directions once we get these dirt blocks cleared out, but if they don't, we can reconfigure this a little bit. So we're gonna scoop up this water. I'm gonna go ahead and clear out some more of this dirt now that you have kind of seen how all of this works, and I will kind of get everything laid out so that we can start working on our collection mechanism. Alright, see all of you soon. And for the most part, all of the canals are pretty much finished. We have a few of them that lead to this general area where we talked about building our collection mechanism, and if we go ahead and fly up here, we can get a good view of all of the canals. Maybe if we land on top of the house up here, well, kind of. The canopy definitely fills in and blocks a lot of it, but you can see those canals flowing in between all of our tree plots here. We only have them in the middle, so I did not put any canals here on the outside, and the one down here on this side is simply for transporting that water stream all the way down. It isn't really all that great access, but we do have them in the middle in between all of our plots, and you can see they kind of crisscross right here, and they go all the way down and again converge at this central area. We are going to level this hill, and I think what we will end up doing is, instead of just having an outdoor area, I think we will build a whole storage house for this. More or less. Obviously, we will still store all of our wood at our main storage building, but just while we temporarily gather wood, we can keep all of that wood inside of a dedicated building down here. So our first step in this will be to level this hill and do a little bit more terraforming. As you can see, the water all kind of comes to this Y level right here, so we will have to utilize some hoppers in order to transport the items all the way. Otherwise, we would have to dig a pretty big hole out of the ground, and I don't want to have too much artificial terrain around here, as this area is pretty flat and it doesn't slope down for a little ways. So let's go ahead and clear out this hill. That will give us a little more space to work with. There we go. That will give us plenty of room to work with, and it is pretty close to our outlined path that we have extending out to the village. So we will be able to have a small path that extends up to the building. So now that we can better visualize this, we can begin to get some hoppers into place. Now, what I'm thinking for this is we will have all of our hoppers sort of meet at one central location, and then from there they will sort into their respective systems. And again, I want to keep all of the hoppers on the same level here. That will involve clearing out all of this dirt right here and running hopper chains of various lengths from each of these water sources. So we will remove those bricks right there. And right over here, we will have, again, one single hopper facing that way. And then we will have all of these hoppers extending into it, and the water will end right on top of that hopper so that it will pick up all of the wood that comes down that water stream. Same thing right over here. These hoppers will point into that one hopper right down there, and that water will end on those. So these will all extend in this direction. Those hoppers will intersect with the hoppers from this water canal right here. And just like that, all of our items that get thrown into those canals will end up in this hopper right here. So we need to figure out what we want to do with this. And what I'm thinking we do is have a minecart chest underneath this hopper. So we will replace that with a downward facing hopper. And then that chest will be able to regain a little bit of elevation as it goes up and sorts them into all of our chests, which I have decided we will do automatic sorting. That way we don't have a mess of wood when we go to collect it all. And I'm pretty certain that minecart chests will fill up from hoppers, but I do just want to double check that before we get too far into all of this planning. So let's go ahead and place a minecart chest right down there. Nothing in it yet, nothing in that hopper. If we add in our tough bricks, there we go. That will fill up, and we will have some kind of comparator with a timing mechanism, a sensor if you will. And once that chest is pretty full, not all the way full, but maybe about a quarter of the way full, then it will go into its sorting. And this is going to be a very short track. It's just going to go up so that, again, it can gain a little bit of elevation here, and then it will just empty into another hopper. That chain of hoppers will be where we sort all of our items. So not much in the way of the track, but again, we will still automate that mechanism. Now we need to figure out the house. I do want it to kind of match with our farm. I think we will go with tough bricks. And I don't know, do we want to match the 1.21 house that we built up on the hill, or do we want to move into a different style? I think we might mix the tough bricks with a wool pattern as we kind of work our way into this part of the village. Of course, we have some lingering sheep right out here. I think it would kind of make sense. So let's go grab some white wool and a little bit more tough. And I think we might actually return a layer of soil to the ground right here, just so that we can cover up those hoppers. Of course, we could put them into the ground one more layer, but I think we will just cover them up. That will be a little bit easier. So keeping that in mind, we will have our floor level on top of the grass instead of set into it, and then we will have our tuff built around it. Now what I'm thinking is maybe some just basic raw tuff, normal tuff for this, and we will go around a couple layers. This will sort of serve as the foundation here. And then we can have the floor elevated off of the ground a little bit, even after we raise up the dirt. And then on top of this, we can have our layer of wool for the walls. We can have a couple windows on either side of where our front door will be. We will frame that in, and if we step back from there, let's see how that looks. Not bad. It definitely needs some wood and some other detailing, but this is a great start for us. This is not going to be anything extravagant, a very basic building at that. Again, it is all just a temporary storage setup, but I still want it to look nice because the rest of our valley looks nice, and we definitely want that to blend in. And I thought I had enough tuff. I mined up a couple veins in the cave not too long ago to finish off our canals, but it seems that I have used all of that up. I don't think we have any more in any chests or shulker boxes anywhere, so I'm gonna make a trip down to the cave and grab some more tuff, and then we can finish this off. Alright, there we go. The foundation is pretty much finished. We can go ahead and fill in the rest of the wall. I'm thinking we will keep it pretty symmetrical overall. And of course, our front porch right here, which we will doctor up, don't worry. So now we need to decide what wood we want to use for this. I'm thinking probably dark oak. That will give us great contrast with the white wall. So we will chop down a couple dark oak trees, and we can even test out our new mechanism once we are finished. So we have chopped down all of those trees, and of course we have a full inventory now, no surprise there. So let's go ahead and throw some of our leaves and our wood down into the canal. I was worried that might happen. We will have to iron out some of those kinks, but for the most part it looks like it is working pretty well. And now we don't have to travel down to that building every time we get a full inventory. We can stay up here and continue to plant and chop trees. I do want to make sure that all of our wood and leaves do end up where they need to be though. We don't want anything getting launched over the edge and losing out on a stack of wood or anything like that. But it looks like everything has worked out smoothly, so let's head over here and check our hoppers. We should have a few stacks of wood and some leaves in there. I forget if we left that minecart under those hoppers or not. I don't think we did, so it should just be right in here. They are piling in. We will probably have a little bit more coming in from there, and that side is empty. So that is definitely very convenient for us. The leaves will be, well, I'm not sure if I want to compost them or if it would be better if we kept them for landscaping. I think we will probably keep them for landscaping until we decide we have enough. Maybe we can set up some kind of switch. But for now, we know that that works, so that is very, very comforting. Let's go ahead and get our wood into place. I think we will go ahead and remove the corners and have our logs going all the way to the bottom of this build. Maybe something like that. I think that works really well. And then we need something underneath the windows, that way it isn't just a flat wall. And for that, I think we will do a combination of slabs and stairs. So we will have our slabs going underneath the windows right there, and then maybe some upside down stairs right there and here. Actually, I think we will go ahead and invert these, that way we don't have any wool showing below. That will give us a little bit of a better divide between the wool and the tuff. So something more like that. And then we can have an upside down stair and a right side up stair as well, just for a little bit more support. And maybe then we can just get rid of that top stair and place a slab. We could even try to get fancy with this pattern if we wanted to. I'm just kind of playing around with it. We could do some kind of lattice design, I think, if we did an upside down stair like that, and then maybe a right side up, and then could we do maybe another right side up, or maybe an upside down right here? Well, that isn't really working out. Maybe we could do a plus pattern instead. Well, I can't really get anything working here, so maybe we will just do some kind of checkerboard with our slabs. There we go, that is easy enough. Well, it's certainly a unique design, but I think over time it will grow on me. We will just see how it ends up. It's very easy to remove if we want to get rid of it, but I think I will end up liking it. We will also put some shutters on the windows just to help break up the white. I think, unless that might be overdoing it, which I think it is. I think we will maybe try some cherry wood or bamboo shutters to give us a pop of color. But as for the floor inside, I think we will go with oak, keep it basic, keep it light. So let's head up to our oak trees, and we can gather some oak wood for the floor. For the floor, we will go with a woven stripped oak pattern. I think having emphasis on a wood pattern is a great fit for a tree farm. So I'm going to need to go get a little bit more oak, which means planting more because this is all of what we chop down, but we can begin to strip this down to the stripped oak wood variant. That lighter color, it is really going to lighten things up in here and highlight that woven pattern. There we go. I would say that has a very pleasant look to it. So now we need to set up our minecart system. We will have the rails again just coming up to the tops of the windows up there where we will have our sorting mechanism. I guess alternatively what we could do is have sort of an attic space where the roof could be. That is where we could sort out the wood and then they could come down into hoppers into each of their chests. I think whatever we decide though, it will work out quite nicely. But looking at this house, especially stepping back from it, I actually really do like that crisscross pattern at the bottom, but it is quite large. I think this needs a second story for it to look good. So we will add one more floor to this before having any kind of attic space, and then we will figure out the chest sorting mechanism. There we go. I think once we get a roof on that, that will have a really nice look to it. Again, we will do a little bit more of a pattern between the two floors, that way it isn't so flat. Now I think we can start to work on this minecart mechanism. Okay, so our first order of business is setting up the automatic minecart mechanism. We are going to have a comparator that will detect the level in the minecart chest, and once that is about a quarter of the way full, then the minecart will be powered. And I think this will be as simple as setting up a powered rail right here, putting a block behind it, and clearing some blocks in front. This is where our normal rails will be, and we have a very full inventory. We probably don't need those hoppers or those chests right now. Our rails will extend up in this direction. That's where the minecart will deliver all of our items. The minecart chest placed right there. I hope the comparator will detect the items in the minecart. Let's see if it does. If we start to fill that up, it does not. So I think we will need a detector rail for this, which means setting up an additional system. That way we can send power to the minecart. Okay, so let's see if we can push this minecart off of these rails right here. That way we don't derail the minecart itself. And let's put a detector rail down. We will move this minecart back on top of that, and it looks like we are getting stuck on the hopper, so I'm glad we are figuring all of this out now. We will need to bring these blocks down. We will place a couple rails right there, and that should activate the detector rail. Now we can place down our comparator and get that signal strength. We need to figure out how much signal we need. This is roughly a quarter, I would say, although we don't have full stacks in there, so we are going to need some full stacks to really gauge this. I think we will go with 9 slots of items, which that means there is 62 plus 55. We need 11 more items here. There's 8, 9, 10, and 11. That will mean a signal strength of 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like this is going to go a ways. We will clear away some of this grass. That will give us a little bit more space to work. So it looks like a signal strength of 5. So now that we have that figured out, we just need to figure out the best way to send that minecart up once we reach that 5 signal strength. Again, originally I was thinking we could have that powered rail, but it does not detect directly from the minecart chest. So I think what we will do instead is have it send the minecart when it detects that that top hopper is empty. That will mean that the minecart will run a little bit more than it needs to because it will empty out, say, a half stack of wood before another bit of wood enters the hopper, but that's okay. That will allow us for a little bit more flexibility so that we can put our powered rail right down here and then have a block right behind it. So we will have that block right there. We will have a comparator facing out this way, And of course that will send a signal strength when there is something inside of it, so we want to invert that signal. So to do that, we will have a redstone torch right there. Again, when we put something in there, that will turn off this redstone signal right here. We will have a redstone repeater facing into that block, just like that. We will bring that redstone around a little bit, and now anytime that it detects that the hopper is empty, it will send that redstone pulse and send the minecart up and away. So let's go ahead and set up our rails real quick, and then we can test this whole mechanism out. Of course, the only issue with this is anytime that the hopper is empty, that chest will be going back and forth. I think the easiest way that we can solve this is by having a basic on-off switch at the top, so whenever we want to come in here and do some tree harvesting, we will go turn the chest on from the top end of the track, and that is where it will get its power from, similar to how our track is set up in our smelting facility. I know it all sounds very complicated, but trust me, I have a plan in mind, and it should work. So those rails will reach all the way up to the top. They will go over some hoppers, which will then sort into our automatic chest system. And all that we will have left to do is put on some windows and the roof, and our tree farm will pretty much be fully set up. So we have seen how those automatic sorters are made before, so I'm just gonna skip showing that. And I will meet all of you back here once we have a fully finished tree farm. I will see all of you very soon. Well, there we have it. It is not 100% complete quite yet. If we step inside or even look at it from the outside, we will see there are still a couple of things left to take care of, but all of the sorting mechanisms are in place. I just need to stock them with item filters, and then they will be good to run on their own. I also need to finish up the minecart right here, add a few more powered rails. As for the on-off switch, that will be right here, or maybe we will put it on top of the hopper so that we can stop the minecart directly on top of that. Nonetheless, that will empty out those items into these hoppers. They will make their way around, being sorted into all of these chests, and everything left over will end up in this final chest right here, where we will sort of have a junk drawer, I guess, but that shouldn't fill up all that quickly. I filtered most of the items that we will be collecting from the tree farm. As for the canals, I just need to tidy these up a little bit and add a few more walls and things like that so that we don't have any items getting stuck along the way. And lastly, I will cover all of this up with dirt, do a little bit of landscaping, and maybe if I can find time, I will extend the path all the way out here. But for now, just for the sake of timing so that I can get this episode edited and uploaded, that is where we are going to end it. At the start of next episode, we will take a closer look at this whole farm in action before moving on with the rest of that episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, hit that thumbs up button and make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on daily content as soon as I publish it. Check the description for some more important information, links, how to contact me, all of that good stuff. And with all of that being said, comment, like, subscribe, remember to stay optimistic, and I will see all of you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Bye.